so now that you're done with your project, it's time for the very last step, which is to do the backing. So that involves trimming the canvas a little bit and then sewing this down, the edges down at the back here. And this step doubles as kind of like security for the loose threads at the back. And it prevents the threads from unraveling. And then after we've sewn this down, we can then attach this whole coaster to the felt backing that's provided in your kit. So then it's going to be like this. Obviously, we're going to trim around that so that it's the same shape as our project. And this will then add the final layer of security to the threads of your project, but also gives a little non-slip effect. For rugs, the felt backing is extra non-slippy so that you can use it as a rug in your home and not be concerned about slipping or anything like that. Okay, so let's get started. And the first step is to trim around the project. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut around the project, leaving about 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters of canvas left so that we can sew that down at the back. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can just be rough about it. In fact, I've forgotten to do this step in other coasters I've made, and I've just sewn the whole thing down at the back and it turned out completely fine. So that's okay. Okay, so I'll meet you when we're done with this step. Now I'm done cutting around my project. See, it's not perfect. It's just a rough cut. It doesn't matter. No one's going to see that after we're done. So take your bundle of thin white cotton thread that's part of your kit and this metal needle that you also have in your kit. So take one of these threads and then thread it into that needle. First, let's knot our thread. So that's just like a regular knot as you do when you hand sew garments or other things. So then you'll have effectively 2 strands on your needle, like that, with a knot at the end. You can choose wherever you want to start. I would recommend an outer edge here, and then go under with the needle. And then before you pull that all the way through, take the very end of your thread where the knot is, like this, and then drape it over the needle like that. So then when you pull the thread through, the thread locks onto the canvas like that. Okay, so then let's begin. This is fairly straightforward. The goal is to just attach the edges onto the back here so that it's as flat as possible. And you can just do that by going under the threads, looking for where you can attach, and like that. Just be careful that you don't go so far to the front that it comes out on the visible parts of the project. And then I just do kind of like a running stitch where I just make sure that I capture the back of this part as well as the edges of this canvas. And then when you get to the corner, it gets a little bit tricky here, so just fold it in as much as you can and then include that in your stitch so that you can flatten it as you are sewing. You can always go back a couple of times to make sure that it's as flat as possible, so you don't have to worry about perfection this stage. Besides, if you want to, you can always cover this up with the felt backing, so don't worry too much about perfection. Just do your best to get this as flat as possible, and you only have yourself to please anyhow, so you can even skip the step, but I wouldn't recommend it though, as this helps kind of make sure that any loose threads you have at the back has some more layer of security. But again, like I said, this is your project, so you can decide what to do. Yeah, so you can see here that I just go over the same areas a couple of times if I feel like it needs more security. And then when you get to the end of your thread, you can just secure it however you see fit, and then thread another one and do it again. We get to another corner here. Sometimes it helps to kind of fold the whole edge here just to get a feeling of what the corner is going to feel like. Sometimes when you fold the corner first, then the rest of the canvas behaves weird. That's the last one done, and snip that off, and finished. Okay, so we're done. We've sewn the back down, looks like this. So that's given some security on the edges here for some of the threads that may be not super secure. And and this is what it looks like in the front. And if you want to stop here, you're more than welcome to do so. But if you want to attach this felt backing, what you will have to do is to just take a glue gun and use the glue stick in your kit, this one, or take whatever strong glue you have at home, and just glue this whole thing down onto the back here, like that, and leave it for as long as necessary for your project to properly adhere to the felt backing. So that depends on the glue that you have. And you may even want to put something heavy on top and just fluff it up after. And then when you're satisfied with how much the felt backing has adhered to your project, if you think it's good, then you can trim around the edges here, and then you'll be finished. I've done that with this project. It's not the most polished. I still have to like cut the edges better, but it's not really visible from the top, as you can see here. And you can even take your needle and thread and do a running stitch around here if you want to feel extra secure. So yeah, now we are done with the very last step of your project, and congratulations, you have a rug and or a coaster that you put so much love and attention into. I hope this brings you a lot of joy every time you look at it, and I hope to see you again. Thank you so much. Bye. Take care of yourself.